Very enjoyable. It can pass the night for you if there's nothing else doing.
Well, I think it'll have a fairly detrimental effect on the knitting industry.
It's marvellous. It supplies a long-felt want.
Well, I think it's a great thing for the islands. I think that in this remote area, right up at the end of the line, I think it's a good thing for the people, especially in the country, the people in the country.
Television? Oh no, it's no worse than I thought it would be, but just don't fancy it myself.
Today, for the first time, television comes officially to Ultima Thule, or if you like, the Shetland Islands. This is the last area in the whole of Britain to get its own television transmitter. It was opened officially here this afternoon. And now these people living 200 miles north of John O'Groats can see what they've been missing for all these years, at least as far as BBC is concerned. Mind you, television isn't entirely new to Shetland. They've been having a sneak preview, strictly unofficially, for 3 weeks, ever since the transmitter was turned on for Grand National Day. And in these 3 weeks, Shetland has gone television mad. And so far, the Postmaster General has collected about £2,500 in licence fees from eager Shetlanders. One shop alone in the town of Lerwick has sold over 100 sets in 3 weeks, more than £6,000 worth. A pretty good business for a town with a population of only 5,000. But in spite of the pleasure which this new toy, and it's so new that it is still a toy here, in spite of the pleasure it's already given, there are some people who see a terrible warning for Shetland in what television did to the neighbouring Orkneys. Because on Orkney, just 50 miles south of here, they've had television for 5 years now, and a number of people there think that television will do to Shetland what, for a while at least, it did to Orkney, and kill the island's cosy traditions and culture stone dead. But so far at least, Shetland, with its 19,000 inhabitants scattered over 20 little spits of land, is proud of the vigorous strength of its island communities, all of them with strong traditions of self-sufficiency. There's hardly a croft on mainland or Unst or Fetlar that doesn't have a fiddle hanging on the wall. And in the winter, the fiddlers gather together in the villages and in the town and scratch out their lively Shetland reels and marches. It's all a deadly serious business here. But television may mean that the young people, and some of the old ones, will leave the fiddles hanging on the walls and concentrate on Dr. Kildare or Z-cars. Others say it will do just as much harm to the hand knitting industry, which is where an awful lot of Shetland money comes from. A good many people are afraid that the stream of brightly knitted Fair Isle sweaters will dwindle away because the women will have their eyes on the box. And if television hits at the home industries and culture, what will it do to the other activities which are so plentiful that they won for the Shetland's capital, the town of Lerwick, the Saltire Cup for the liveliest town of its size in Scotland? What will happen to the drama groups, the choral society, and the thriving brass band? All this, say the gloomy pessimists, is threatened by television. And in proof of their pessimism, they point to the dreadful warnings that have come from those who saw what television did to their neighbours just 50 miles away in the Orkneys. Mr. Daligan, as a further education officer here on Orkney, can you say what the initial effect of TV here on the island of Orkney was?
Oh, well, Mr. Shannon, it was quite disastrous to begin with. The first year, 2 years, everything almost disappeared that we had built up and tried to build up in the years previous. I think drama groups, music groups, classes of all kinds, youth groups, all suffered initially, and that continued for a matter of 2 to almost 3 years, and then the tide began to turn.
And what advice would you, as a further education officer, give your counterpart in the Shetlands?
I would advise him to hang on like grim death to at least the nucleus of all that he thinks important in community life. He'll be in a sad state of disarray in a year or two's time, but assure him from me that the tide will turn. Tell him to hang on.
Mr. Ennis, your counterpart in Orkney appears to think that you should be gloomy about the coming of television to Shetland. Are you, in fact?
Oh no, not at all, not in the least bit pessimistic. In fact, we've been looking forward to it for a long time now, and both teachers and pupils and the general public will welcome it.
And what about its effect on island life in general?
It will, television I think, will help to integrate Shetland within the United Kingdom. It will provide some sort of comparative standards and help to break the long winter evenings in the islands.
Couldn't it possibly make the people who are working at home in their cottages put down their work and just watch television, take them away from their work?
I don't think so, not as far as knitting is concerned anyway. The Shetland knitter can watch television and knit at the same time.
But whether it's a cause for bitter, sorrowful tears or gleeful, delighted celebration, television has finally come to the Shetlands. Finally and irrevocably. There's no turning back now. From April the 15th, 1964, life on Shetland will never be quite the same again.